Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today from all our team. As you may already know, the ECF 2020 was organized by the joint efforts of the EPIC at AUA, EU for Business, and GIZ. Now you will have a chance to listen to Dr. Hilda Grigorian, who is a professor at AUA and whose specialty is in the areas of international NGO management, women enterprise development, gender mainstreaming, youth development, business management, and working with the startups and small medium enterprises. And she will give a talk on the topic of team culture and effective communication support. By the way, let me remind you that EPIC is already accepting the startup applications for its fall 2020 incubation program. And this year, for the first time, you will have a chance, we'll give an opportunity for everyone to apply. And for more details, you can visit EPIC's website or our Facebook page. Now, let me give the floor to Dr. Grigorian, to whom would give our special thanks for agreeing to become our speaker today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gohar, for such a nice introduction. I appreciate the opportunity given by EPIC team to present this one-hour talk about the importance of communication in building a very successful team, because without a team, we can never work. And EPIC is concentrated on building a very strong workforce and strong entrepreneurs and basically just startups. I had the opportunity to have a workshop on this topic. It was a day, all-day workshop, and this is just a very small snapshot since we have only 1 hour. So let me share my screen. Okay, so just a little bit about myself. My name is Hilda Grigorian. I've been teaching at AUA and in the business college. And meanwhile, just doing different areas. Today, we will be talking about communication, a little bit about the communication, the importance of communication. Why do we need to emphasize the importance of communication? Because the vast majority of the startups that they fail, vast majority of the companies that they fail, it's because of the miscommunication, lack of communication, not understanding the entire cycle of communication. So let me start by just a minute to concentrate on the communication. Basically, the communication starts with a message, with an idea. I have an idea I want to explore, and I want to put it into a notion, and I want to put a message to send out. So then I will send it to the receiver and encode the message, transmit it, send it to the receiver decodes it, understands it, translates it, transcribes it, and then send it back to the sender. Basically, this, as you can see in your screen, this is basically how it works. The information comes to the sender, goes through the coding and channel to the receiver decodes it. If I ask, or a sender asks for feedback, it goes back to the message goes back to the sender. So this entire cycle keeps going around and around until it's fully implemented, until the message is fully delivered. Now, why is this important? Because we need to pay attention to a lot of things why we go through sending a message. We need to pay attention to making sure that our message is very clear, very coherent, very complete and clear. If there is an understanding, if there's a cultural differences, we need to make sure that we spell the words very clearly. If there is a dialogue differences, we need to make sure to have the dialogue in accordance with the audience. So basically the audience play a huge role on this. What is the communication consist of? In a snapshot, the 55% of what we communicate is nonverbal communication. Just let me for a minute, maybe I think there's a problem. Somebody was trying to reach me. Can we make sure everybody hears me, Gohar? Gohar?
Dr. Grigorian Gohar is not in the panel, but we can hear you.
Everyone can hear me. Yeah, you can see my screen. Okay, and you can see my screen. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's all that is. It matters. Okay, so the communication. If you look at this pie chart, you will have a very good understanding about the body movements, the face, the arms. 7% is words. 38% it's all about your voice and your tone and how you express yourself through which areas how are you going to basically communicate your message properly so your sender would be able to comprehend properly. With that said, I want to concentrate a little bit about the team because basically the topic of this talk is about how to communicate effectively to build a successful team. Before coming to this talk, actually, I was just reading about why some small businesses and some new businesses, some businesses who are willing to expand, and overall the startups, because my heart is passion is with startups. And why do startups basically fail? And what are the causes of it? I've been teaching business communication to an undergraduate, and when I asked the question, why do you think the startups fail? And vast majority of the hands just went up saying that it's just because we didn't have the right leadership to communicate with us properly. So we had no understanding about what the tasks are. If you are in that position, I highly recommend you to first understand the definition of a team. A team is a group of people who are mutually dependent and linked to one another. It's like a linkage to work together to achieve a common goal. If you have the puzzle, if you put the puzzle in front of you and you start putting the pieces of the puzzle together, if one doesn't fit, the entire puzzle is not going to be successful. It's not going to be completely implemented. So in order for you to implement a project, you need to make sure that you have the right teams. And how do we do that? Let's take a look. The team building stages are in 4 stages. Forming, personality identification. We all are different. We look different, we think different, we have different opinions, we have a different DNA. So we need to make sure that we come to senses as to who can do what, basically. Who can do what, okay? That's when the storming part comes in. You start brainstorming. You have the team of 4. One person is totally introvert, thinking a lot, listening to a lot. One person is extrovert, speaking a lot, opinionated, expressing opinions. The other person is very strong in writing. The other person is very strong in public speaking. So that's the brainstorming. Once you pass that stage, then you have the norming. Then you sit down and say, okay, based on what we have just discovered, person A is doing to do this task, person B doing this task, person C, person D. And whoever has most of the characters is basically becomes to be the group leader or the team leader. But don't make no mistakes. The team leader doesn't mean he or she is much better than any other person. That means that he can comprehend all these personalities and bring them all together. That a team leader has a huge responsibility. The responsibility falls on his shoulder, on her shoulder, to make sure everything gets done properly. And reforming is better understanding of the personalities, which this is a part that the team leader basically does. Team leader sits there and understands the information that he has received, and then he assigns people based on their personality. The stage 1, forming identity, is Isabel Myers said, it's up to each person to recognize his or her true preferences. We're going to have to find out if in my team, person number 1 is extrovert, person number 2 is introvert, person number 3 is thinker, person number 4 is judger. And how do we put them all together? Different people, different mixtures of characteristics. So how are we going to bring all of them together to work together, link them together to make sure that they all work in harmony? Because if one person does not work in harmony in the team, nothing is going to happen. And I've seen this in my personal life, in my professional life, in internationally and locally. So you need to make sure to first identify all these personalities. The stage 2, going through personalities, extrovert, and again, I have to emphasize, there is absolutely nothing wrong with each personality. We're all different, but we all bring a value to the table. Okay, we are an added value. So definition of personalities is extroverts are someone that needs to talk loud and great expectation, and it comes across as very intimidating. Okay, and it's not an active listener, because it's very important to be an active listener. Passive listener is someone that just listens to everything. Everything happens, and he or she listens at the same time, but not necessarily digest everything in their mind. Intuitive are the ones that they see the bigger picture. This is not what I want to achieve. I want to go one step forward. Connects the dots. This was Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs says, always connect the dots. Make a mistake in implementation, but learns from the mistakes and move forwards. Introverts are the ones that they need time to process, a great concentration, nothing can bother them. These are the people that they actually go into the coffee shops and sit and work on a report with the music in the back. They just don't listen. They are constantly focusing. But on the other hand, if you start talking to them, they're a very active listener. They listen to you very thoroughly and they give you very good feedback. Sensor are the ones that they have great executors. They know what to do. They will take the ball and run with it. They may miss the big picture, but they can implement and they can deliver a project on time. The thinker are the ones that they're very analytical and critical thinkers. These are mostly scientists and people who are in a very unique position to make a decision. The thinkers are normally, you would see them very quiet. They're problem solvers. The truth is very important to them, but you will see them quiet. I'm sure that you have recognized this in your friends, in your professors, families, whoever. If you see someone walking down the street with their head down, you know that this person is a thinker. I worked with engineers and scientists, and I know vast majority of them had that characteristics. The feelers are the one that very sensitive. They get very emotional very easily. And they make their decisions based on the relationship, not based on the logic, not based on what makes sense. And they react with the very strong feelings. So you need to be careful. If you're building a team that it would require a person to stand in front of the investors and make a presentation, you may want to start thinking about, do you want to put your colleague who's very sensitive and emotional in front of the investors? Because the investors will ask very harsh, maybe very cruel and very strong questions. The next, we go into the judger. They're very planner. They schedule everything in advance. Nothing bothers them. They go with the plan. They form and express their judgment and bring closure to move forward. In other words, they won't leave anything, no task unfinished. They have to finish the task and then move forward. Perceivers are the one that they postpone decisions to wait for others. They can never make a decision on their own. They always have to rely on the others. But they are adaptable and flexible. They prefer to keep their options open. They're open to changes and flexibility doesn't bother them, but they're very spontaneous. In other words, they could just work on a project and decide to go out of town the next hour. But they are multitasker and do things at the last minute. So if you're working with someone who, if you are a person that you need to get things done right away, but in your team, there is someone as a perceiver, you may want to think about it, because that would create conflicts. You want things done on plan. You're a judger kind of a person, and all of a sudden someone in your team is a perceiver saying, it doesn't matter, we'll take care of it tomorrow or next week or the week after. So these are little things that you need to pay attention. If you want to know what kind of a personality you are, I'm going to share this presentation with Epic. You can reach out to them. They will post it. You can go ahead and click on this. It's a great online personality test, and conduct your own SWOT analysis. I hope by now that you know what SWOT analysis is. SWOT analysis is, what are your strengths? What are the weaknesses? What are the opportunities? What are the threats? So that's the SWOT analysis. When I say do an individual personal SWOT analysis, that means that you have to be 100% honest with yourself. You sit down and get a piece of paper, sit in front of the piece of paper, start writing. Look at this chart. Your strength, my internal strength, opportunities, weaknesses, and trends. Where do I fit in? Then say, what kind of a personality do you have? It's very important to do this on your own, without the interference of anybody else, and it would take maybe 20 minutes, but I have done this every time I wanted to change my job, every time I wanted to relocate, and it's a great tool. It just basically gives you the opportunity to be totally honest with yourself. And then you don't have to impress anyone. You don't have to show off. This is between you and this piece of paper that says, am I a good communication? Do I have negotiation skills? How are my organization skills? Do I like to do administration work? Do I have motivation skills? How's my time management? Can I do multitasking? Can I take care of multiple projects at the same time? And do I do a quality job? Because taking care of multiple projects at the same time doesn't mean that you will basically do a quality job. So then these are all things. And weaknesses, am I emotional? Can I stand in front of people and deliver a 5 minutes, 10 minutes speech? Am I a perfectionist? It's good to be perfectionist, but in some cases it's a drawback also. The opportunities are, do I have good networking? Do I have recommendation by customers? How am I being perceived by people? And the threats of rejection. Newcomers with more updated technology, people who can speak better than me, people who can write better than me. So these are things that it's all up to you to do it. I highly recommend that you get a piece of paper and you do your strengths and weaknesses, opportunities, and trends. This should happen right in the beginning of forming your team. Everyone just sits down, takes 10, 15 minutes, and goes through this and write down all the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and trends. And then you get together as a brainstorming. You start brainstorming and you start looking into who can do what and what, who can do, whose weaknesses is a drawback, whose strengths is good for us, and who is a threat for us, basically. You may have someone in the team that you have a little bit of difficulty understanding that person's background, and maybe there is not much of a trust in there. So that's why you need to look into the threat part. So take your time and do this. This is a great, important tool, not only professionally from a business standpoint. You should do this anyways when you're launching a product, but from a professional, from a personal standpoint. Stage 2 comes storming. After a brainstorming session, tasks are assigned to team members with very clear expectation, very clear timeline, everything. And this is the job of the team leader. The team leader has to stand in front of the team members and say, I expect A, B, and C, and D to do the following task. And he or she puts it on a board and says, based on the personality assessment, I believe, for example, Lilith will do really good in writing a newsletter. Armen would be very good in providing social networking. Ara would be very good in digital marketing. And then the other person, whoever it is, Hilda, for example, would be very good in communicating all this to masses. So the outcome is that we are working, just another example, we're working on a marketing strategic plan. So each person has a specific, clear task assigned to that person to work on a part of the marketing strategic plan. Marketing strategic plan is a huge plan. It doesn't work overnight. It requires all the internal stakeholders to get together to do brainstorming, and every person contributes to this marketing strategic plan. But the outcome is that you create a marketing strategic plan. The output would be for you to understand, and for everybody else who is going to invest in your company to understand, you are very serious. Members stay very focused. The positive attitude is it's absolutely a must. When I say synchronization or will on board, it's just because one person has to know the other person, what the other person is doing. You have to be abreast of each other's functionality and understand exactly what is it that you're doing. What falls apart? What falls apart is poor communication from the team leader. If the team leader is not able to communicate what exactly is expected within a certain timeline, then everything falls apart. Collaboration is not in place. Redundancy happens when there is no synchronization. When I don't talk to my colleagues do whatever they're doing and I go back and do exactly the same thing. There's a redundancy. Team members fall into the comfort zone, meaning if I'm the team leader, if I give my team an assignment, today is Tuesday, and say we need to finish this assignment by Sunday, everybody falls into the time, very comfort zone thinking, oh, we've got few more days to do. So what's the worry? But that is, we call it procrastination. It will have a severe consequences. They don't take the deadline seriously. I see this with my students all the time. After 7 years of teaching, I still see it. And that's just a very simple assignment. Imagine if you are a startup and you need to launch a product and introduce it to the marketplace on September 3rd at 3 p.m. at the Marriott. And the person who was supposed to make all the logistics arrangements did not do this because that person is thinking, oh, today is August 18. We've got plenty of time. We've got 15 days to go. That is wrong. Before even think about it, you need to take everything seriously. And I'm not joking when I say that. Think everything very seriously. Think your deadline seriously. Why? Because if you do not deliver, there's always someone one of your competitors would be able to deliver in no time. The step 3 is norming. During this stage, members accept each other's strength, each other's weaknesses, and they build a trust. If there is no trust in the team will not work. It will fall apart. It's very simple. Members need to understand their roles, outcome, and output. And the leader's responsibility is to make sure that he, as a sender, as I showed you on the cycle, is responsible to send a very clear message. The message to all the team members has to be very clear and coherent. Members understand the importance of working together. We need to come out of our shell of working individually and be a collectivism, start going to a culture of collectivism, meaning that we all have to work together. If you were in my class, or if you're not, then you can easily go to YouTube and search working in Google and working in Apple. You would see the common denominator between those two companies, the IT companies. They all work together as a group. They all work together. If there is some issues, there's some conflict, instead of making it a big deal, you always find a solution. Conflict resolution is the best way to do it. Sit down and communicate. Again, communication is the key to success. I truly believe it. Members they have a very positive sense of team spirit. Members accept and give constructive criticism. In our culture, sometimes the criticism doesn't come very easily, but we need to understand only through criticism that we build our capacity and we learn and we don't make the same mistakes. Active listening takes a huge role. When you listen to the members of your team, rather than speaking on top of one another, you would be able to answer them very constructively. Members are asking probing questions. What I mean by that is, especially those thinker ones, they think about what you're saying, and you rarely see them make any comments, and at the end, they ask a very constructive question, very probing question, which requires a very good answer from the team member. So constructive criticism, when you want to give somebody a constructive criticism, knowing our culture, knowing how sensitive people can be, I wouldn't come out and use very improper words or be very not polite, if you say. Be very descriptive. Don't put a label on people like, you're lazy, I knew you couldn't do this, you are just not good in this. You don't pass judgment, because if you pass judgment and you start thinking, then you will say, it's always my way or the highway. And there's no such a thing. You have to work together to all be on the same way. So don't make any comments when you're emotional. If somebody passes a judgment on you, it's okay. Just take a deep breath. And if you can't answer the questions, if you can't answer his criticism at that point, it's very easily to say, I need to think about this and I'll get back to you. Don't speak on behalf of other people, because you can only speak for yourself unless otherwise the team members have asked you to deliver a message. Then you say, I'm speaking on behalf of the team. Don't make any comments or don't make any remarks unless if it's a reliable source. If you want to talk about the steps in building steps in developing and delivering a strategic plan, then you would talk about the steps, and then you would say, based on, let's say, Harvard Business Publishing, these are the steps that we need to take. Receiving feedback, there will always be people that they would be against the team leader. You would get into clashes and everything. Always just take a deep breath. Listen very carefully. Ask questions if it's not clear. What do you mean by what you just said? And I do understand your frustration, but let me think about it and I'll get back to you. And keep an eye contact. Eye contact means it's one of the most important nonverbal communication, which means that you are acknowledging that person. You are acknowledging who he or she is and what he and she is saying through the eye contact. We are actually making a lot of improvement in making eye contact, and be very courteous. You don't have to insult anyone. Be very respectful. The minute that you as a team leader or as a team member start insulting the others, that is the minute that you will lose respect of the others. So please be very careful about that. Even if you don't like somebody's opinion about you or somebody's opinion about a project, always be very courteous. Thank you so much for what you just said. I will take that into consideration. That's the best way to do it. The stage performing is, at this stage, the team members have gained insight of personality. They know that they can work together. They have a better understanding of each other's strengths and weaknesses and able to work through the conflict. They gain trust and respect for the member. This is a classic format for a very successful team, okay? Definition of a successful team is you focus on the end result. You don't start by saying, you just say, we need to work together as a team in order to be successful to launch this marketing strategic plan. And this is how we will do it. That's the end result. Understand your goals and objectives. Have a very clear mission and vision. Even for startups, I highly recommend to create a mission and vision, because without a mission, and which is a short-term goal-oriented mission, and vision is a long-term. Without having a mission and vision and print it really big and display it someplace that everybody can see it, you will not get that sense of motivation. Communicate effectively by sharing ideas, your knowledge, information, interpersonal communication, intrapersonal communication, two different kinds of communication. Once you understand who your colleague is, the person in your team, what kind of a mentality they have, the way of thinking, the way they operate, the way they express their feelings, everything would be very fine. You can work together efficiently. Trust and respect. And at the end, I believe in this, believe to achieve. If you believe in something, you will achieve it. Sky is the limit. And this is my last, I think I've gone really fast, but that's okay. The key to success is to focus on goals, not obstacles. If we focus on goals, we will move forward. The goals are the roadmap, that it's just the tools to get you to your destination. The obstacles, for every little obstacle, if you want to get basically just disappointed, if you get disappointed, if you just sit back and say, I can't do this anymore, then what's the purpose? What's the use of moving forward and trying to achieve your goals? So to all my friends, I'll say, honestly, dream big dreams, because this is your time to dream. Don't take this COVID and unprecedented moments of life as a challenge. Take it as a how would I say it? There's always a silver lining in every challenge. The silver lining meaning that if there is a challenge, that gives you the idea, I would have never been able to done this talk if it wasn't for me staying home. You wouldn't have been able to stay home and participate in this talk. And I'm so grateful for your participation. But take every challenge with a grain of salt. What does that mean is take it and run with it. Don't let it become an obstacle. Oh, but if it becomes an obstacle, it's just because there are some ways that you can work it out. I am sure for all my participants here, there are many people that they have this dream of becoming a business owner. They want, or you are a business owner, you want to expand and go above and beyond and become from a small medium, become medium. A small business become medium business. From micro business become macro business become micro business. So these are all little steps. And this time in our life, which we call it an unprecedented time, I have never seen it as a challenging time. I've seen it, I've looked at it as an opportunity to grow. And this is your opportunity to grow. This is when you just need to move forward to a bigger and better things. And I just, one last thing that I want to say is, I was reading an article by the employees and what causes the employees, what causes people to leave their home, leave their businesses. And what came about was the people, the employees are the most valuable asset of a company. When you have the assets of the companies, when you have, let's say, printer, Xerox machine, chair, tables, computers as an asset, those assets, you can always replace them. But when you bring a person to your company, when you bring a person to your team and you train them to be the person that you want them to be, and that person leaves the company, leaves the team, they leave their knowledge with them. They're not gonna leave their knowledge behind. So you as a team member, if you are not able to be a team leader because it's a lot of work and a big responsibility, you also have a responsibility. And the responsibility is to be able to work with your team members, to be able to understand what is it that they need that you can help in order to move forward. What is it that you need that they can help in order to move forward? So I think at this point, I know I've got another 20 minutes to go, but honestly, I just don't want to brag and talk about a lot of things. I think you got the message. I will send the presentation to EPIC. If you like to have a copy of it, you're most welcome to have a copy of it. But just believe in yourself and believe that you can achieve and believe that your teammates will work with you to achieve your goals and objectives. Again, I really appreciate all of you to be taking time to be a part of this talk. I sincerely thank AUA EPIC for giving me the opportunity to talk to you. And if there are, I'm not sure if I can answer any questions. If you have any questions, I can answer. I'm not sure if you can, maybe you can put your questions in the chat and I will do my best to answer it. If not, then I wish all of you nothing but the best and move forward. Don't make this period to be a challenge. Take it as an advantage and move forward. I wish all of you all the best. Hajouchun, 10 minutes.